CampusToCanton.com is taking it to another level. Starting August 28th, book in your college Saturday with the C2C team in every Saturday of the college football regular season. At 10 a.m. Eastern, come join the tailgate as we get you ready for the Saturday slate of games, start sits, players to keep an eye on, and college DFS lineups. Then the Late Show with Coast to Coast. We take you around the country to recap the significant fantasy performances, whose values increased or decreased the most, and those out-of-nowhere players that have to be considered for waivers. Do this right now. Go to the Campus to Canton YouTube page. That's Campus, the number 2, Canton, and subscribe. Turn on notifications. You don't want to miss what we have going on. The tailgate in the morning, coast to coast to tuck you in at night.
This is Kyle McCord, and you're listening to Austin, Felix, and Matt on the Devy Debate.
Welcome to the Devy Debate. All right, boys. Are we ready to debate? Austin, you tweeted something, or you tweeted your running back ranking. Explain yourself.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast. You jumped up enough.
That's Austin Nate.
Who is going to be that guy? And for me, Bijan Robinson is still going to be that guy.
Around with Robinson, who spins and then tries to bounce it. A stiff arm, another one as he rides it, keeps his balance. They're going to say he stepped out, but
I'm Felix Sharp. I know you didn't think that we would get through this episode without mentioning the name one Zach F. Wilson.
Screener draw. Oh, Wilson is going to uncourt for the end zone, and he drops it in beautifully. And it is his roommate, Dax Milne, on the touchdown.
That's Matt Bruning.
G. Scott Jr. Obviously, I waxed poetic about him on the last episode, so I won't do that again here.
And this time it's Fields on the carry. Watch out. Justin Fields. Hello, Columbus. 51 yards.
Bruning, are you ready to go head-to-head with me?
I am.
Got to get my popcorn out here. Hold on.
Got to continue. I got it. Kyle McCord is going to end up winning the job. He's going to be rated higher.
Well, I'm not nearly as passionate about what I'm about to talk about.
Our apologies to Kirk Street. We ran out of time. We'll get him rescheduled soon. And for Matt Bruning and Austin Nate, I'm Felix Sharp. Good night and good luck.
It's 9:30 Eastern time, the only time zone that has global warming completely under control. That means it's time for the Devy Debate, brought to you by CampusToCanton.com. That's Matt Bruning, that's Austin Mason, I'm Felix Sharp. On an amateur version of tonight's show, what's the top headline to track in the 2021 college football season? Who will be the first head coach fired this season? But we start with 8/28, week 0. We are inching closer and closer to the start of college football season. And if you haven't heard, the Campus to Canton team has two shows to bookend your Saturdays. First, the tailgate in the morning to get you ready for the games. And then yours truly, I think all three of us will be on the Coast to Coast Late Show at night to wrap everything up. Austin, what are you looking forward to as, you know, the Campus to Canton team ramps up its content?
Yeah, shout out to my wife who is letting me do 5 weekly shows through the season here. She is a saint. Unfortunately, I'm probably going to have to take her somewhere very expensive after the season's over, but I do it for you guys. I'm looking forward to the morning show. I'm just Reese Davis. I'm there to look good and talk nice. And so I'm going to be learning a lot about DFS and stuff from the guys that are going to be on there. That's what I'm most looking forward to. It's an area that I don't have much knowledge in. And I think for anybody to be a great, C2C player, especially, you really should have a lot of different vantage points coming at it. The DFS, the CFF, Devy, Dynasty, Redraft, those can all help you. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Austin. That's one of the things I'm most excited about when it comes to the tailgate. Like, we just added Will, who we got a chance to meet him on a call the other day, and he's he was giving me energy, and I was sitting here with like no AC, about to die, and he was bringing me back the other day, and I can't wait to sit there and learn from those guys too. I'm hopefully going to win us some money because those three, Alfred, Moxley, Will, are 10 times smarter than I think the three of us combined. So I'm excited to learn all that DFS stuff from them in Saturday mornings.
The one thing that I've appreciated so much about our team is that we are all doing a whole bunch of stuff regardless of whether anyone's watching. And we even started that way, but then, people are starting to pay attention and are starting to notice, but we're still having just as much fun, and we're looking forward to pushing the boundaries just as much as we did, to start. So I'm looking forward to it too. Tonight, we are talking about the top 9 storylines as we head into the college football season. I couldn't get a 10th that really fit in there. So we're just going to say the top 9 storylines to go into the season. The first, drum roll, please, number 9, is Steve Sarkisian, the guy to turn Texas around. I think that it's obvious that they got to figure something out at quarterback there. They haven't named a starting quarterback yet. The start of the season for them is less than 2 weeks away. Casey Thompson, Hudson Card appears to be taking the lead, but I would guess that they're going to use both quarterbacks. But quite frankly, if one couldn't take the job from the other, that's probably not a great sign. And so what are we going to see moving forward from that position? You've got Malik Murphy, who's coming in next year. There's a whole mess at Ohio State that's going to get shaken out. Could Quinn Ewers or Kyle McCord be a potential transfer to Texas? Bruning, Austin, what are your thoughts about, whether Steve Sarkisian could be the guy to turn it around even as early as this year?
I mean, I hope so. I do think college football is better when Texas is a thriving program, even before they go to the SEC in a couple years, or it's not, I guess, been finalized, but they're supposedly going to be going over there. I think it'd be great if they could come back. I still believe in Hudson Card, Collins Boyd to take over, and then Malik Murphy looks like the next best thing coming over there. I don't think Quinn's going there. We're going to talk Ohio State later, so I can dive deeper into that. But I think Quinn's going to stay at Ohio State. I don't see him leaving. So I think it's going to be Card. And then next year, can Malik Murphy beat him out? I don't think so. I think they've really got to get some better wide receivers in there, though. I mean, Troy O'Meary, I know he's your guy, Felix. He's dealing with an injury right now. Will he be ready to start the season? They need to get some of those higher-end wide receiver recruits. They've got Bijan for 2 more years. I do think that they're on the come-up. I don't know if he turns them around this year, but I could see them getting into the playoffs before they expand to the 12-team format by 2025 or whatever it's supposed to be.
Austin, is this going to be like the equivalent of Jim Harbaugh going to Michigan and there being a lot of fanfare and then just very little substance there after the initial hire?
You don't even have to go to Michigan to draw that comparison. You can just talk about every coach they've had since Mac Brown left at Texas, and it's kind of been that way. I haven't been a fan of a couple of the hires they've had recently, and I do like Sark there. I think he's a guy that has seen the lowest of lows in his career, basically almost ruined the entire thing and has now rehabbed his image to the point where he's getting head coaching jobs again at major programs. I think a lot of people would have laughed at you if you said he was coaching at Texas just a few years after leaving USC there. I predicted a few weeks ago on the C2C pod that I think it was RJ Young had tweeted out once the SEC move became official for them. He said, which school is more likely to win a national championship in the next 10 years, Texas or Oklahoma? At the time, I said Texas. I just think, no matter, I realize that Oklahoma has more national championships and I realize they have more Heisman winners. Texas just feels like a bigger program to me. They're in that recruiting hotbed. They're the Longhorns. They were good, not that long ago. Now Oklahoma's bringing in these classes over the next couple of years. They've got, 5-star after 5-star. I'm rethinking that a little bit, but I do think that it won't be immediate. I think you need to give Sark a year or two. I think that team can get back to contending status. I do appreciate, Felix, that you will not admit defeat on Casey Thompson. I really appreciate that. It seems like he won't be starting this year. I don't know. I think it's over. I think the competition is over. So we'll see if Card can do something or if they do have to jump to Murphy in the future.
Has he been? He hasn't been declared the starter yet. Hudson Card.
He hasn't been declared, but he's taking all the first team snaps. He was, I think, in that last practice or scrimmage they had, he was taking the first team snaps.
Listen, if that's true and Casey Thompson doesn't start, it seems that Colin Decker was right in that Sark just held Casey Thompson around so that he would not transfer, and then now at the last minute is pulling him and making Hudson Card the starter. But Casey Thompson has some good football left. If he goes to a G5 team next year, he's going to be somebody that you're going to want to own in campus to Canton leagues because he can run the football. And I think that he would have 2 years left after this season, so he could be an older prospect that's a very attractive quarterback option next season, even if he's not at Texas. The number 8 headline that we are paying attention to in going into the 2021 season is who is the first head coach to be fired. I think that there are 2 candidates who kind of stand out. We mentioned Jim Harbaugh. He's one, and Clay Helton would be the other. USC starts with San Jose State. Now, if you're just looking at on paper and saying USC's playing San Jose State, I mean, that's going to be a bowl game for San Jose State for a team that won the Mountain West last year and had a very good defense. I don't think that that's just a gimme for USC for the Trojans on September 4th. And then they go to Stanford and Washington State. I mean, there's going to be an upset in week 1. There's going to be a team that gets upset. And it could be USC losing to San Jose State right out the bat. And then with Michigan, Michigan's got that big game against Washington in week 2. Now, Washington looks like a top 20 team, but they're probably on equal talent level as Michigan. I don't know that that's necessarily a team to be scared of, but we all know that the games that matter, the game that matters in Michigan and Ann Arbor is when they play in Ohio State, and they play. That game is at home this year, the last game of the season, November 27th. I think if that game goes poorly, Jim Harbaugh could be fired and not coach in the bowl game. But going along with who's going to be fired, we have to pay attention to the coaches that are on the rise. Matt Campbell, Luke Fickell. Those guys, I think, next year are going to have bigger jobs. The reports are that Matt Campbell turned down 7 years and $68 million from the Detroit Lions before they hired Dan Campbell. I mean, you think about news that breaks, who breaks it? That has to be Matt Campbell's agent. It didn't come from the Lions brass. It came from Matt Campbell's agent to say, hey, USC, hey, Michigan, you want to get Matt Campbell? You're going to have to pay in the $80 million range to get him. I think that's where that news came from. Austin, what are your thoughts about who could be the first coach fired? Have I identified one of the 2, or is there somebody else you would throw out there?
I mean, Helton's the obvious one. I think Scott Frost there at Nebraska is a name that if they do not start off well, you could hear. The other one, and this is a little out there because I realize he'll only be in his second year of a 4-year deal that he signed last year. If Mississippi State continues to get pummeled, I think they're going to start to have second thoughts there on him. I mean, to be like they've never been a serious contender for any long stretch in the SEC, but they've had their years where they can hang in there. If they just get murdered 2 years in a row, that is definitely a regression for them. And so I could see him that and when things are not going well for Mike Leach, he is not the most congenial guy to talk to. So that's my Scott Frost would be my obvious one, and then Mike Leach is a sneaky one that I think could come around, and Herm Edwards if something happens at Arizona State, if any news comes out there. But
yeah. I mean, Jeff Brom, I think at Purdue is another guy. Not that that's a big name school, but I think he's another guy who might be sitting on the hot seat. But I think Helton is definitely the main one, because I just don't. I know me and Austin disagree with you on the Harbaugh thing, Felix. I don't think anybody expects them to beat Ohio State. So if they go and lose to Ohio State, unless they lose to like Michigan State again this year. I don't think they lost to Rutgers last year, but like Rutgers, if they lose games they shouldn't lose, maybe. But I think if he goes through and only wins or loses 2-3 games and one of them is Ohio State, I don't think they fire him because they're just not, in all fairness to them, they're not on Ohio State's level at the moment. So I don't think anybody's out there expecting them to win. And I don't think Luke Fickell's leaving Cincinnati for what it's worth. He seems to love it there. And I think with the way he's building up that program and the possible talks of playoff expansion coming in the next couple of years, I think Fickell's staying. I don't think he's leaving Cincinnati.
I've actually never understood, like how much money do you need to make? I'd rather have job security for the rest of my life than, go somewhere and make Luke Fickell is probably doing just fine financially. He doesn't necessarily need to make the jump. Quite frankly, neither does Matt Campbell. You could do what's the head coach? Well, Kirk Ferentz at Iowa and the guy at Northwestern. I can't remember his name. Pat Fitzgerald. I was going to say Mac Fitzgerald. Pat Fitzgerald. I've wanted him to be the coach of the Lions for a long time. And but no, you get a job like that. You have some winning seasons. Everybody praises you. You're never really challenged, and you could just stay in that role. All right, the number 7 headline that we are paying attention to for the 2021 season: vulnerable blue bloods. Now, it's no secret that several teams around the country have returning seniors, super seniors. But you look across the board at the blue bloods at Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama, totally new offensive line, offensive coordinator, quarterback, running backs. I've heard other podcasts talk about questions in the back end at Alabama. I think that this could be the year that we don't see Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, the normal 4 in the Final Four once we get to the playoffs. Matt Bruning, I'm seeing this as a year where you could see Alabama lose 2. You could see Ohio State lose 2. You could see Georgia lose out the gate with all of the injuries that they've suffered. What are your thoughts about vulnerability and, quite frankly, parity in college football this season?
Yeah, I think this is the year. I tweeted out something about Texas A&M earlier today when Haynes King was announced as a starter, that I think this is the year where it's the deepest pool of contenders we've seen in a while. Usually it's really only like 3, maybe a 4th team, where I think you can go 5 or 6 deep. And I tweeted out a week ago that I think I meant this. I think North Carolina and Cincinnati make the playoffs this year because I do think Cincinnati goes undefeated. If they go undefeated, they're already ranked inside the top 10. I think this will be the year that G5 school gets it. And then if North Carolina can end up beating Clemson, I think that they're going to get in. So I think those 2 get in. So then that knocks out 2 of those 3 blue bloods because I can't remember the exact stat, but it's like of the past 32 teams or whatever that made it in, 25 of them are a mixture of Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, and Oklahoma. So those 4 have been in for a while. And so I think at least 2 of those get knocked out. I don't disagree with what you said on any of that, though. Ohio State could lose. Clemson, I think Clemson could lose. I think Clemson's going to lose to North Carolina. So there's at least 1 loss. Bama, I don't think they lose 2, but I definitely think they could lose at least 1. Even with the people saying they're vulnerable on the back end, Nick Saban's still one of the best, defensive back coaches, and let's just be honest, one of the best coaches in college football. He'll figure out a way to keep them from losing multiple games because they still have enough talent on the offensive side of the ball, and I think on the defense to keep them in most games. I could see them getting 1 loss, but I don't think they lose more than that. But I definitely think this is the year for parity.
You want to hear something crazy? The more and more I've thought about it this offseason, I think Clemson is going to be better than they were last year. I think they smoke North Carolina this year. I think now that Georgia's dinged up, I think they an emphatic 10-point win at least opening weekend against Georgia. I think Clemson cruises. I really, really do at this point. I think there's not a lot of question marks there for them. They have a really good defense this year. And DJU is going to add an element to that offense that they haven't really had recently. Trevor Lawrence could run, but they didn't really want him to run. I think they're fine with DJ running a little more than him. So Yeah, give me all the Clemson. And as boring as it is, I think Alabama wins the SEC this year. I do. They'll be pushed. Texas A&M might get close. Georgia might get close, but I think Alabama still wins the SEC. This conversation will be really funny to look back on in 3 months when it's like just those teams are cruising away as per usual.
Texas A&M is the trend. If you're not picking Alabama, Texas A&M is a trendy pick. I'm looking at Georgia's schedule. Obviously, they have the week 1 game against Clemson, which is just I cannot wait for that game. But then, I like Arkansas as an upstart team. I think Arkansas could be this season's Indiana. And so, I don't know that they'll be able to pull it out against Georgia, but I think that game could be closer than people think, especially if Georgia continues to have the injuries that they've been having. Jermaine Burton, Kearis Jackson, George Pickens, Darnell Washington, all dealing with injuries during George Pickens is out at least for the year, we believe, but they've dealt with a lot of injuries there in that offense. And so, Georgia could be a team that falters if they can't score, quite frankly. And we saw what Cincinnati did. I mean, Cincinnati almost had Georgia's number in that bowl game. The number 6 headline that we are looking forward to in the 2021 season is Arik Gilbert. I mean, I think that this storyline has to be intriguing. The highest ranked tight end recruit in 24/7 Sports history. He goes to LSU, and despite what Matt Bruni did Matt say that Arik Gilbert or
he
Michael
did nothing?
Mayer didn't do anything?
I said Arik Gilbert hadn't done anything.
Yeah, Arik Gilbert didn't do anything. He had a tremendous season last season, and transfers to Florida first, and then transfers to Georgia, and is no longer with the Georgia football team. There's just like no good news coming from his camp and coming out about Arik Gilbert. He reminds me, it's not directly similar, but Maurice Clarett had his great freshman season. They go to the national championship. They beat Miami. And then he attempts to make the jump to the NFL, falters and has to wait the 2 years. And before he's eventually a day 3, I think he was a 3rd-round draft pick for the Denver Broncos and never panned out. That's Austin. That's what we're headed towards with Arik Gilbert.
The Maurice Clarett thing I saw that on the show sheet. I was like, that is a name I haven't heard in a while, and it's perfect. It's the first time I've ever said that about anything Felix has ever said or written or done. It's perfect. So kudos to you, Felix, for that comparison. He's just a knucklehead. And knuckleheads come in all shapes and sizes in college football. He's just a knucklehead. I don't know how else to describe him. I think I don't think he cares about school. He just wants to play football. I think that he thinks he's better than he is. He's a great prospect, but he thinks that he can just get by on that and not, because he's had run-ins with coaching staffs now, failing drug tests, which is basically an IQ test in college because they're not that strict with them. He's just a knucklehead. He scares me. He does. So the Maurice Clarett thing feels very apt.
Matt, I don't think that I can't see Arik Gilbert being a 1st-round draft pick at this point. I don't see a team spending, quite frankly, a day 2 draft pick, and that's why he reminds me of Maurice Clarett. We're not going to see him play for 2 years. Maybe he goes to an Alabama State like Isaiah Crowell did, and he can rehab his image and, become a priority undrafted free agent that everyone's looking at, or, a draft pick that someone takes a flyer on in the 6th, 7th round. But I think that that's his ceiling unless we see some sort of dramatic change in the next couple of months.
Well, his draft stock is hurt by the fact that he's in the same class as Mayer.
Yeah.
If there was no tight end talent in that class, I think he could get away with it. But there's another guy there, and I think that does not help. I don't know. What were you going to say there, Matt? Sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're good. Probably for the best because you can probably hear my printer now in the background, kind of making all kinds of weird noises. No, I could still see him going in the 3rd or 4th round if he is able to get back on the field and even produce a little bit, and then if he goes out and tests well and commits to playing tight end, I still think he's going to go round 3 because we've seen dumb NFL teams make dumb decisions. I mean, we were just talking before the show, Denver passing on Justin Fields and possibly ending up with Austin's favorite quarterback, Carson Strong, next year, and like the 15 to 18th pick in the first round when they could have had Justin Fields, who has already looked amazing. Some team will take a shot on him in like the 3rd round because he goes out there and tests well. And I would bet even if he doesn't play another snap on a college football field, someone will still take a shot on him. If he doesn't play another snap, I'd say 5th round. There's no way he goes undrafted just because of what he can do testing wise. He's such a physically athletic freak. Someone will take a shot on him.
He feels like the kind of guy that if he doesn't play another snap, that he shows up to the combine like out of shape. Like that just seems like that would just be the perfect like next step in that story for him.
That's exactly what Maurice Clarett did.
Yeah.
He came to the combine completely out of shape and did terribly. All right, the number 5 headline that we are looking forward to as we get closer to week 1 of the college football season. Who will be the quarterback 3 in the 2022 class and next year's class? Of course, you've got Spencer Rattler and Sam Howell, a consensus 1 or 2, but in 1 and 2. But there's really no consensus after that. Austin has poo-pooed my Carson Strong hype. Matt Corral is out there. Some people like Malik Willis, Keaton Slovis. I hear Jaden Daniels' name, but I quite frankly don't see him coming out next year at all. Austin, what is your feel for this 2022 quarterback class, and who will be the 3rd quarterback taken?
So this is like kind of a hot take, but also kind of a lukewarm take. And it's been my stance here for a few months. I don't think there's a 3rd quarterback. I just think it's 2 guys. I think we're just going to have to, like, there might be another guy drafted in the late first round, but I think that every few years you get a class that just isn't very good at quarterback. I mean, look at that 2013 NFL draft class. The first quarterback that went was EJ Manuel at pick 16, and he was the only first round quarterback. Now, I think the talent at the top this year is obviously, there are 2 guys. So that might prevent that from happening from like a game theory perspective, but I wouldn't bet on another quarterback going in that first round at all.
Matt Corral. And I only say that because I think he'll go out there and he'll make just enough plays. If he can clean up the decision-making just enough that he doesn't have another like 5 interception game or 2 of them. He only has 1 this year. I think someone will take a shot on him. I mean, we've seen the career. We've constantly compared him to Jameis Winston on this show. We've seen the career Jameis Winston is having in the NFL. He's got all the talent in the world. He can make every throw on the field. He can use his legs. I think some team will take a shot on him. I want to say Carson Strong, but I'm really worried about the lack of mobility. And then all the people, it ended up not mattering for Zach Wilson, but all the people who kind of like shit on the competition that he played all year long, Carson Strong's playing just as bad a competition. I think he gets 1 good game this year. No, you don't think so, Austin? You think he plays better teams?
No, not in the Mountain West, because BYU had a modified schedule last year.
That's what I'm saying. He's playing worse competition. Yeah, he's not playing what Zach Wilson got. And everybody shit on Zach Wilson last year in his competition. So I think I would love to see it happen, but I've wavered a lot more on Carson Strong being that guy. So if I had to pick one, it would be Corral, because it's definitely not going to be Malik Willis or Slovis. Slovis is worse than Strong in every facet of the game.
Nevada plays some decent teams this year. They play.
Nevada is in the Mountain West. It's a better competition than what Zach Wilson played last year as an independent with that schedule. It is. It just
Boise, Fresno. Yeah, I mean they play some decent.
San Jose State is good. San Jose State is good. I don't know if they're on
like the one good. I don't think so. They have one very good defense on their schedule. Oh, is it San Jose? They have one very good defense on their schedule. I think they don't play USC, or do they? Who am I thinking of that plays?
They play Cal. They play Cal to start the season.
Okay.
That's their Power 5, big Power 5 game to start the season. All right. Let me ask both of you this. I'll put this on Twitter. If you could only have one in a C2C league, Carson Strong or Jameis Winston? Who would you rather have, Matt?
I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth here. I voted Carson Strong on your poll, but I'm going to take Jameis Winston because I've already seen what he's done in the NFL, and so I know what I'm getting out of him. I just said it. I'm worried that Carson Strong won't even be drafted in the first round. If he gets drafted in the second round, I don't know that he'll ever really – I think he'll end up being a starter, but I know what Winston is, so I'll take Winston.
Jameis, like 1,000%. We kind of talk. I could talk about Carson Strong for like an hour. He is such a fascinating profile to me because he's going to be a true test of does the NFL is the NFL fully embracing this shift toward more mobile quarterbacks, because he is not mobile at all. Like, I don't even think he's great at navigating the pocket. Like, he's really not. And I think he's got some questionable ball placement at times. We asked, I would take Jameis in a heartbeat. I think that we've already seen Jameis threw for 5,000 yards in a season already. Like, I asked this before the show, and I just want to hear you guys say this on record. Is Carson Strong a better quarterback prospect than Josh Rosen was several years ago? No, I don't think he is.
And I told you, I think that is an unfair question because when we consider Josh Rosen, we're considering what he was in the NFL, which is a quarterback who didn't have a chance. If Josh Rosen would have went to a good situation and had time to develop, maybe he would have been different. But he was a good quarterback prospect coming out. You think he was a terrible quarterback prospect?
No, I think he was a good prospect, but that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think Strong is anywhere close to the level of prospect that Josh Rosen was. Personally.
Well, then situation matters. Look, this is my question though. Is Jameis Winston an ascending fantasy asset?
No, but he's level. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I think Carson Strong could potentially be an ascending fantasy asset, which is why I would rather have Carson Strong, because somebody's going to end up in Denver next year. Somebody's going to end up in Washington next year, and that player is their value is going to skyrocket. We know that Sam Howell and Spencer Rattler are going to go early. There's going to be a third guy who finds themselves in a really good situation, and you could see their value just increase exponentially.
So I agree with that premise. I just think that his ceiling is capped compared to what I think Jameis Winston can do, because Winston's in New Orleans offense. Where I can't remember what the other team you just said was, but if Carson Strong goes to Denver, he's not throwing for 5,000 yards, and we know he's not getting you rushing touchdowns. So it's my biggest thing with Baker. Like, I love Baker. We talked about it earlier last year. I think he could take a step forward. But his upside as a fantasy quarterback is limited because he's not throwing 45 to 48 touchdowns like Patrick Mahomes. He's going to get you maybe 30, at most 35. So that limits what you can do as a fantasy quarterback, which is what I care about. And NFL-wise, I think Carson Strong would be fine in Denver. But I think his upside is limited because he's not going to get you 5,000 yards and 40-plus touchdowns like a Jameis Winston will in New Orleans offense.
Somebody compared him to Kevin Kolb on Twitter. And I was like, that kind of seems perfect, honestly. Like, really.
I like that. I like that. I don't have a problem with that. All right. The number 4 headline that we are looking forward to as we get closer to the college football season is who is the running back 4 in the 2023 class. You've got Tank Bigsby, you got Jahmyr Gibbs, you got Bijan Robinson. That class is already loaded at running back. If you don't have 2023 draft picks in your dynasty leagues, it's probably going to be difficult to get them now. But there are a lot of candidates out there. I would encourage you guys to go read Austin's 10 bold predictions. In Austin, the player that you like that could take a step forward is Jace McClellan.
It is. And for the record, I also love Zach Evans. I just think McClellan – takes that next step into that, upper echelon of running back. I think he's not going to become the bell cow at Alabama this year, barring injury to Brian Robinson. I just don't think that's going to happen. But I think he has a defined role there no matter what. And I'm basing that. I think I've said this on the show before. When they played that spring game and Roydell stepped in for Brian Robinson, but they've said that McClellan is going to get touches, which leads me to believe that Roydell is the backup for Brian Robinson and McClellan has his own role. He can catch passes. He was the biggest spark athlete in his class at the position. He's dangerous in the open field. He's efficient as a runner. He's 215 pounds already. He's got NFL size. He's at Alabama, which virtually seems like it guarantees you to be a top 60 pick if you're, any way decent at the skill positions. So I think this year we see him put together a body of work that puts him in that upper 4 this year. But Zach Evans is going to have a nice year too.
I mean, Burning, the 2023 class, 3 running backs, 3 high caliber RB1s in a class is ridiculous. And I think we have that. But think about the players that you could add. Diamante Tranium, Kendall Milton, Jalen Berger, who we haven't seen his best football yet. Marshawn Lloyd, who was out last season. Chris Tyree, the fastest player at the opening at his position. That running back class could be ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
Israel Abanikanda, what the hell?
Oh gosh,
give Pitt some love.
Give
Pitt some love.
He'll be a great 5th-round pick. I agree with Austin. I think Jace. I think he's going to be the better player on the better team, having that SEC schedule. If he goes up and dominates at all, he's going to be the guy. There's a lot of talk down here as well that Kendry Miller has actually been looking really good for TCU as well and might be splitting some time with Evans. We've seen Patterson kind of do that in the past, even with having some decent running backs. I know Evans had the off-field stuff last year, which I think is more what led to him not getting a lot of playing time. But if Miller goes out there and plays really well too and kind of takes some of those carries away from Evans, I could see him getting passed up by McClellan. But I honestly think come 2023, you were just mentioning it, Felix, how deep that class is. We could literally be talking about 5 deep at wide receiver and running back in that first round. And that's not even mentioning the quarterbacks or Michael Mayer's in 23, right? I'm not misremembering that. You got Michael Mayer, who likely will be a first-round pick, and then you have those quarterbacks as well. So, 2023 is going to be a very fun class. It's going to be a really great kind of storyline to watch, not just this year, but next year as well, as those guys kind of finally go into what will likely be most of their final college years and see who can kind of keep that first-round draft capital.
And our number 3 headline that we're looking forward to as we work towards the college football season is that Alabama wide receiver core. Now, Agai Hall is the one that went off in the spring game. He had a couple of contested catches, which I never understand why people are so excited about contested catches. I had conviction all along about JoJo Earl. I've always had him ranked highly. I think he's my wide receiver 10, wide receiver 11. Number 12, I got Mario Williams. But his skill set is just something that doesn't exist in Alabama. And I'll tell you what it reminds me of. When Cam Newton was a backup at Florida to Tim Tebow, he talked about a play where I think Florida was playing Ole Miss. If I had Adam Lewis, he probably knows the exact game that this was. They were playing some team, and the offense was not playing well. Percy Harvin was a freshman, and they just told him, we're going to run this play on the sideline, not something that they practiced, something they just came up where they give him the ball in the backfield, and he scores a 70-yard touchdown. That's what JoJo Earl is. That's not what Ja'Cory Brooks is. That's not what Christian Leary has, some of those skills, but that's not what Agai Hall is. I think that JoJo Earl is going to be the best of the bunch, Matt Bruning, because you don't have to scheme for him to be good. Just throw him a bubble screen, give him a reverse, use him in the running game, let him return punts. And we've heard camp reports that he's the one showing out now, that JoJo Earl is the one showing out now. So out of the 4 guys that came in, my chips have been all on the table all along for JoJo Earl, and I'm excited to see what that team looks like when they play Miami in week 1.
Yeah, I have Hall ranked the highest out of the Alabama guys. Some of that goes to, you ask why people love contested catches because they just look good. They just look pretty when a dude goes up and Randy Mosses somebody. It's amazing. It's fun to watch. It's exciting. But I agree with you, Earl, and I think Austin's been right there too, that you guys have been all over Earl as one of your favorite guys for Alabama for a while now. I think I still actually have Ja'Cory Brooks ranked over him, so that's probably going to change here with our next rankings update. But Earl, I think...
Can I jump in here, though, on contested catches? because we love contested catches, but then you hear Jamar Chase isn't getting separation in camp. He was never getting separation anywhere. So I mean,
right, but he dominated on the college field, and he'll dominate in the NFL as well. We'll just give him a minute. It's all these people who, we talked about this last episode, and it's not worth getting back into that. Hall's going to be just fine. Earl, I think if they use him at all like they used Waddle when he was healthy, I think Earl's going to be amazing this year. He's going to end up being the guy, I think, that ends up being the highest drafted out of this group, but I still am going to keep my chips in on Hall. I think he's going to end up being the better guy.
I like how Felix just said that you don't have to scheme to get Earl open, and then he named a bunch of things that you're scheming to get Earl open. Like
that's not scheming. That's just you don't have to run him in bunch formations and run him through picks to get him open. You just give him the ball and let him play. That's what I mean.
You have to run Hall through picks because he can't separate. He can only catch the ball. That's why Bryce Young's got to throw it up so Hall can contested catch it, because Hall can't create separation like Jamar Chase. That's what I'm hearing.
Hall's a better route runner than Felix wants to give him credit for too. I mean, I like them both a lot. I don't know. I think Felix is underrating Hall a little bit. I mean, so Felix, you just talked about my 10 bold predictions for the season article. Everyone has been fading Christian Leary there. I mean, he's the lowest rated of the group. And what was he, the wide receiver 10 or something in the class? Like just absurd wealth there at the wide receiver position. I predicted that one Bama receiver does transfer this offseason, and it's not Christian Leary. And obviously not Earl or Hall as well. It's Brooks. So that's I think Brooks does nada this year. And related to that, I think Brooks gets the Julian Fleming, Damon DeMoss value drop treatment. Because you only have to make like one play to hold your value. JSN had that one touchdown catch really last year that's holding his value. A couple of guys, they really just had like one game or one thing that they did it. DeMoss did nothing, and Fleming really did nothing. I think Brooks is going to have a similar freshman year, and he is not a great buy at this point in time in drafts.
So, yes, to answer, Christian Leary was number 10 in the composite, number 16 for 24/7 Sports in last year's class.
You got to take one guy from that class, Austin. It's
still Hall. He was my wide receiver 1 in the whole class. So
same.
Bruni, you got to take one guy
for Hall.
Okay. All right. The number 2 storyline that we are looking towards. I don't know. I can't. It's late. I can't talk anymore. As we get closer to the college football season, is Oklahoma's position as a national title contender. They're just such an interesting storyline. I've said it on this show. I've said it on other shows. I think that Oklahoma can compete with that 2019 LSU team for one of the best offenses that we've seen. You look at the wide receivers that they have. I mean, so many players who can take the top off the defense. In Mike Woods, the transfer from Arkansas. In Marvin Mims, who is already there. Jadon Hazelwood could be your contested catch guy. Austin Stogner is 6'6", 250. He's going to catch a lot of balls in the red zone. You have Mario Williams, who is one of my players who can play inside and out. And then I didn't even mention Eric Gray, but the thing about Oklahoma that has to, if you're a fan of the Sooners and what has to get you excited, is Alex Grinch in that defense. They had 39 sacks last season. That was the 3rd highest in the country. They also forced 19 turnovers, which was 19th in the country. If you have an offense that explosive, that is rushing, I mean, that's how the Indianapolis Colts, when they built their teams. They built their teams with fast defensive ends and cornerbacks that could intercept the ball. And quite frankly, the Saints teams, they had great offenses and they could rush the ball and force turnovers because teams had to play catch up with them. You get behind against Oklahoma, it's going to be tough. And then that defense is going to come at you. And I mean, they're going to, I think that team is going to be, if they're dialed in and they can get past Kansas State and if they can get past Iowa State, they're headed straight towards the national championship. It's really national championship or bust, Austin, for that team this year. And I think that it's going to be the defense, quite frankly, that that gets them to the national championship by getting sacks and creating turnovers.
And just the guy that I think unlocks that offense beyond, having Eric Gray, because I think Kennedy Brooks would have been a fine running back for a national championship contending college team, is Mike Woods, which sounds really, really weird to say, but I think he gives them some experience at the wide receiver position. He'll be they have a lot of guys that can stretch the field, but none that have done it on the perimeter like he has. I think he gives that added dimension out there. They've said he's looked really good in camp. I think he's going to have a better season than people are predicting. It would not shock me if he's their second leading receiver. I think predicting that he leads them and everything would be a little bold, but I could totally see him being their second receiver there in that offense.
I'm just worried about Rattler. It's so hard to say that they're going to go through and dominate everybody after what we saw last year. I mean, Lincoln Riley's probably, I think we talked about this last week, Austin, with Colin. He's the best offensive coach in the game. And he does a very good job of scheming players open. If you watch Oklahoma's All-22, the way he gets some of these players just wide open is ridiculous. So if Rattler can control the turnovers, I think that they'll get into the playoffs. I'm still hesitant to say they're going to be a national championship contender, but I definitely think they'll make it into the playoffs as long as Rattler can kind of, just like I talked about with Matt Corral earlier, if he can limit the turnovers, I think that they'll be fine.
One resource, if you want to check and see how Lincoln Riley schemes players open, go take a look at JT O'Sullivan's QB school, and you see how Lincoln Riley uses players in different portions of the field to get, somebody wide open, 30 yards deep. And then Spencer Rattler would throw to somebody. There's nobody within 20 yards of them. Just a very creative player. Quite frankly, some of the plays that they had Marquise Brown running, some routes some concepts that I had not seen before when I was watching Baker Mayfield. They have this route that they run where somebody will run like a hitch route, and it's a double move. It's almost like a hitch and go, but he would run, I forgot what it's called, but he would run like a hitch and then sit there and slant and would get wide open on it because, a cornerback would jump and not, you're thinking hitch and go behind you, but he would go across the field. Anyway, just very innovative offensive coordinator there at Oklahoma, which is not news to anyone. Everybody knows that. And of course, the number one headline that we are going to be tracking for the 2021 season is the Ohio State quarterback room. Where does Kyle McCord land? Where does Jack Miller land? Where does Quinn Ewers land? CJ Stroud is a freshman. He's getting the starting job. His trajectory from being a lowly ranked recruit to winning the Elite 11 to starting at Ohio State is absolutely miraculous. I don't see him giving up that job. You've got 2 4-stars and 2 5-stars in that locker room, in that quarterback room. One of them is going to be there next year. I think just one of them is going to be there. The 3 of them, McCord, Ewers, and Miller, quite frankly, I think that they're all going to be gone sooner rather than later, Austin.
I don't know about that. I think we need to see how this year plays out, fully, before we can make any determinations on that. I do think that it would be hard to pry that job from CJ Stroud's hands. I don't know. I think anybody saying that they know what's going on there with that quarterback battle is kidding themselves. I mean, we didn't even know Quinn Ewers was going to be there, and then all of a sudden that popped up. I mean, you never really know what Ryan Day is going to do there. And I feel like I've already said my piece on this. I miss the good old days where I would just sit here for 40 minutes and you guys would yell at each other about that. We've come a long way.
Remember when Austin didn't talk? Austin was the guy who didn't talk. I mean, that's just...
Yeah, I don't think I say whatever you want. I'm just gonna say McCord pushed Stroud more than people give him credit for. And it came down to that last scrimmage where Stroud, from everything I've read, heard, really separated himself from McCord in that last scrimmage. That's what won him the job. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Quinn Ewers is a program-changing quarterback. If Kyle McCord was able to push CJ Stroud, it's nothing against Stroud. I think he's the 3rd best quarterback in that room. I think McCord is better, and I think Quinn Ewers is better. Outside of him winning the championship or winning a Heisman, I think it's going to be a quote-unquote battle next year between him and Quinn Ewers because I think McCord and Miller will be gone. And I think Ewers is going to beat him out. And then does Stroud leave? Probably. I don't think Stroud's going to be the starter there next year. And I would almost go as far to say, nobody's told me this, that it's not even going to really be a battle. He wants Quinn there. That's why he's there that early. They'll find a way for Quinn to win that battle if he doesn't do it on his own. I think that I agree with you, Felix, that 3 guys are transferring out, but I don't think it's Quinn. I think Stroud will be that 3rd guy because I don't see him staying once he loses that job to Quinn, and Miller and McCord will likely be gone in January.
Just in time for Pitt to need a quarterback.
I don't think he goes to Pitt.
Yeah. Nobody's going like nobody's.
Miller might. Who knows?
Let me dream, Felix.
I mean, it's like being a Detroit Lions fan. Actually, it's probably a step above that. All right. It was a quick show meeting. We had some other headlines on our show sheet that, we didn't really include in the top 9. Is there any of those that you guys want to talk about before we close it out, Bruning?
I mean, I don't want to talk about the Alliance yet because there's not a whole lot. I mean, it's happening, but it's not supposedly happening till like 2035. So we got some time. We got a couple of years. We can worry about that later once Clemson gets out of their TV deal. I mean, I already said I think Cincinnati will make the playoff for the G5 thing. So outside of that, no, there's not much else. I feel like I've answered a bunch of those questions right now that I look at it. I think Clemson will be dethroned in the ACC by UNC this year. So that's it. That's all I've got.
I want to ask you guys about the Oregon question that I put on there. The question that I put was, can Oregon leverage their top recruiting classes into results on the field? Can they beat Ohio State week 1?
No.
I mean, that
Week
defense
two.
should.
Oh, week 2. Sorry.
That defense should be good. It's just a matter of whether Anthony Brown can beat.
That's
CJ
the problem.
Stroud.
Yeah.
I don't think the offense will be able to. I think that defense will be able to handle Stroud in the offense in a major way if they had a better quarterback, because Ohio State's weakness, I said this before, is their defensive backs. Their secondary is not good. It's not gotten much better since Alabama. Devonta Smith, Mac Jones torched him in the national championship game. Hasn't gotten much better. I don't think Anthony Brown's going to be able to do that to them. So I don't think they beat them. Once Thompson takes over, yes, I could honestly see Oregon back in the playoffs next year. They need that quarterback, though, and I don't think Anthony Brown's it.
Chris Moxley, how do we do tonight? We're good?
We're good.
All right, Chris Moxley said that
You had one thing wrong. I don't know if Chris is here or not.
I had something wrong. What did I have?
Yeah,
wrong?
Maurice Claret went on day 2.
I said he went in round 3.
You said day 3, but it's okay.
I did not say day 3, and there was no day 3 when Maurice Claret was drafted. I don't think. I think the draft was all on one day.
Rewind
it was
the
all
show.
on one day. I think the 7 rounds. I think 7 rounds were all on one day.
Jay,
but we will.
Still out there? We need Jay to weigh in. The people love the gallon, Felix. The people love the gallon.
I gotta get my gallon. I'm trying to get my water intake in every day. But hey, check out all the content around the Campus to Canton family. And hey, tune in on Saturday, 8:28 for the tailgate in the morning and Coast to Coast at night. We're doing a lot of things. We're doing a lot of things at the channel, at the website. With the Why Wait Till Sunday is coming back in a newer and revamped format. There is a lot of stuff to get excited about at Campus to Canton. But that is going to be our show for tonight. Apologies to Kirk Herbstreit. We ran out of time. We'll get him rescheduled soon. For Matt Bruning and Austin Nace, I'm Felix Sharp. Good night and good luck. We really are. We really do like. I mean, when the season comes, we're going to be doing 3 hours of television every week, like we work for ESPN or something.
I will be doing something. I will be doing a podcast or video literally every single day, except for Sunday. Sunday is the only day I won't be doing something.
I mean, unless I'm busy, like
Well, if it was good enough for God to rest on that seventh day, then Matt,
Well, that's the other problem. Is
I
like
think
I'm
you,
pretty sure I promised our Discord that me and Matt Fox would do some like start sit stuff in the Discord to help him out. So I'll be doing that probably in the morning. But then Sunday will be my day to sit back and hopefully watch the Browns have a good season. Who knows? Well, that's the thing. I won't even get to rest Sunday because I'll probably be working on the Stock Watch article because I won't have time to do it much on Monday. And if we want it done by Tuesday, I won't have time. So it'll be getting done on Sunday as I watch football.
Good show tonight, boys.
Not that much.
That was fun.
Let's be honest. It's been really hard to come up with it's been hard to come up with content the last couple of weeks, but we're doing it. We just pulled the plug completely on conference previews. we did.
There's no point.
We did the Mountain West.
We were gonna miss like 4 conferences. So,
well, and I mean, Austin and Colin are doing them, so what? That's fine. That's fine.
Oh, we didn't even preview any of the games. Are you gonna watch any of? Like, are you excited for any of them, Austin?
I mean, I'm just excited that it's going to be football on. In particular, though, no, I'm not. I do kind of want to see. I'm most intrigued by Fresno. I'll put it that way. Like, I think that's the best team on the slate.
Yeah, they're going to. It's going to be like 6. They're going to score 60, 70 points on UConn.
I believe it's called Week 0, Jay, because it was their way to like drum up some interest for the college football season before the actual like Week 1 kicked off. Because the past couple years, as I talked about this, I did my college show for that group we talked about today. And I talked about the past couple of years, Week 0 has had like a really good game, and we don't get that this year, which is a little disappointing. I was really hoping for a good one. I think Nebraska, Illinois could be interesting, but I mean also because I just like want to see Adrian Martinez, does Gabe Irvin get a lot of run tomorrow? I saw PJ posting that Morrison's looking better. What is that wide receiver core with Torre and Betts look like? So, and then I think that game at the end of the night with just how good the defense is, they'll be all right. But yeah, it's going to be. I think Hawaii UCLA could be a decent game. Just based on if DTR can kind of keep the offense rolling against Hawaii's offense. But that's why they call it Week 0, because it's not like the official kick of the season, but it kind of is. I'm looking forward to it. Won't get to watch much of the games, or the first game, I guess, Nebraska, because I'll be drafting in my one redraft league I'm in every year.
I did my redraft league Monday night.
Did you?
Yeah. Got a rebound. Last year I did not have a great year. But
I've had, in this one, I've had 2 bad years in a row. So I won 4 out of the first 6 championships, and then the past 2 years I haven't made the playoffs. And it's very disappointing. Because I should have had a 3-peat one year, and I talked a bunch of shit, and I got cocky. I had Odell on my team his last year with the Giants where he missed the last couple games of the season. And they were talking about him coming back in the championship week. And so I wasn't paying attention to waivers. And then they announced that he was out. And so the guy that I was playing dropped everybody that he didn't need on his team and picked up all the best wide receivers to block me because I wasn't paying attention. So I ended up having to start Tim Patrick. And I remember because it was, I think, the Sunday night game. They were playing the Raiders. The Broncos were. And I lost by 0.3 points and all I needed was him to not Case Keenum threw a pass to Tim Patrick with the last play of the game, and it got intercepted. Had Tim Patrick caught it, I'd have won 3-peat. I'd have been so happy, but no, it did not end well. I threw some shit, broke some shit, a lot of cursing. It's not a pleasant day in the Bruning household.
Good old days.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same. I still get very angry in football games, and so I say, if you guys ever see me watch an Ohio State game and it's not good, it's not a pleasant person to be around. I'm really not. It's bad.
I never really get worked up.
Me neither. Well, I used to when I was a kid. I said I never get. I've broken a smartphone watching the Lions game, so I don't get worked up now. But I'm not I don't have a team that pulls my heartstrings like that. That was back in the Reggie Bush Lions days. The Lions were playing. Both Jay Cutler and Aaron Rodgers were out with injuries. The Lions had to win like one game to get a home playoff game, which they hadn't had since I was like 2 years old. They were playing the Ravens on Thursday Night Football. They were winning the whole game, and the Ravens I think they might have just come off their Super Bowl win. And winning the whole game, a very low-scoring game, Justin Tucker kicks a 61-yard field goal to take the lead with less than 2 minutes left. That's fine. I mean, we have Matthew Stafford, who is like, whatever. They kick the ball off, and he throws. We have 2 timeouts left. He throws an interception the first last scrimmage. I was laying on the couch. I was laying with a floor pillow watching the game, and I had my cell phone in my hand, and my left hand was trying to pull my arm down, and I got up and I just spiked my phone, and then I went in my shower and cried, and that's the last time. I think that was the beginning of the end for me. That was the beginning of the end.
So it's not like every game. It's the important ones. Like last year, I really didn't get that upset with any of the Browns games until the Chiefs game because everything was riding on it. Now, in fairness, when Ohio State plays some of the games that they do, a lot of things are riding on it. So I get very upset because I want to see them go. I'd like to see them win another national championship before I die. I've only gotten to see 2 that I remember.
Fuck you.
So, I'm not meaning a bad thing. Well, that's all. I was going to be an asshole. Like, yeah, of course you don't care, Austin. You're rooting for Pitt. I mean, when's the next chance they're even going to make the playoffs? So, like, it's not every game. Like, when they're playing Akron, if C.J. Stroud throws an interception, I'm like, okay, whatever. They're still going to score 50. And that Alabama game, I mean, I actually kind of appreciated that because I was able to go to bed at halftime because that game was over with. So, sometimes you just get your ass kicked and it doesn't matter. Yeah, totally.
Jamison Williams is starting for Alabama, right?
He's going to go off. I said that on the SEC thing. I agreed with you.
It's questionable as to whether he starts. There's like 4 or 5 names in the mix. They have not confirmed that he's starting.
Who are you going to put Trayshawn Holden out there?
I'm just saying the people there are saying that it's
none of the freshmen.
It's like Baker.
It's going to be Bolden in the slot.
Baker,
it's going to be Mechie outside.
Mechie and Williams are in contention for the other 2 receiving spots. I'm just reporting the news.
Don't give me your facts. You're facting me.
I
think Stephen Colbert's White House correspondence speech?
Maybe, but if I have, it's been a while.
It is one of the funniest 30 minutes that you will ever see because he's doing that faux conservative character in front of Bush, in front of like conservatives. It's so quiet, but it is the best comedic performance, one of the best comedic performances I've ever seen.
Other than my performance here weekly on Devy Debate.
In campus life. I cannot believe, listen, I knew that Austin, that it should be Austin, the third that we included. And I was right.
Felix
I was right about Austin. I was right about Chris Moxley.
All the time.
I was right about Chris Moxley. Look, all these months later, Chris Moxley's joined the team. I did, Jay. I finished the jug. And, Jay, I couldn't chat. Yeah, I did. I couldn't chat. So I need to fill it up for tomorrow. I couldn't chat with you because I'm not on – usually I'm on Bruning's StreamYard thing, but I'm on my own, so I can't chat with people. I got to pay for StreamYard, which I refuse to do.
Can't just go on YouTube and punch a comment in like I did?
That allows me to chat with somebody?
Yeah, just go onto the YouTube live stream. Yeah, they're on YouTube.
I don't know where I thought they came from.
Just go click on campusdecan.com like you're watching the thing. And
I thought that he was in a StreamYard chat. I didn't realize that.
Subscribe, turn your notifications on.
Okay.
And
okay. Look, there we are right there.
It's sad that one of the co-founders of the website tells people to subscribe and turn notifications on every week, and then he doesn't even do it to our own channel.
I don't even have all the passwords for stuff. Like, I don't know how to get into Google
It's
Drive
It's for the best.
I don't even know my own password for the website. I can't get on my phone because I don't know what my password is. So I have to get on my computer to get.
You can reset that, right?
Yeah, but I'm not really into resetting passwords. It's like if I don't know what it is, that just means it's not my day. It's not my day. So it's fucking good. Good show tonight. I missed you guys last week.
We missed you too. Writing your articles, typing away at
It's
night.
freaking hard. That was 35. It was 3,500 words,
And not formatted correctly either, as was pointed out
not
to me
formatted
by
correctly.
two people.
His
people
two,
DM'd me.
him and Colin, the two people who needed like
What
extensions
are you
on their
talking
fucking shit,
about?
and neither one of them did it right.
I did it exactly the way you all wanted it, with fantasy relevant stashes, whatever.
I bet it looks. Did you look at any of the other articles that are all formatted the exact same way? Yes, Jay. Felix came up with the whole plan and idea there for the expo, or the streets part. I think Austin came up with the talking heads thing, but
As we've mentioned before, I'm the one that's texting at 3:00 in the morning. We should do this. That was probably one of those 3:00 in the morning things.
I think it was.
Not formatted correctly. What do you mean, like like identifying which players?
I'm just saying I had two people send me screenshots of your article that touch in the editing process say, do you want to handle this? Do you want me to handle this? So
Are you going to be reprimanded? Am I going to be reprimanded?
There's a note in your file. There's a note in your
There's a
file.
note in my file.
Speaking of the expo, did you see the thing from me and Colin next year?
Yes.
I think it'd be funny.
I don't want to like have a presentation there next year.
Why
just
not?
want to go.
Oh, we need to.
I want to go and be drunk at noon and watch other people do their thing and have a booth. And that's what I want to do. I don't know.
I mean, isn't that kind of what you did this year?
No, I barely drank at all.
Oh, did you?
I had like 3 beers at the party and that was it. I was schmoozing. You know me.
Oh, I know.
Oh.
I mean, I wasn't schmoozing as much as Paula was, but I was schmoozing. So.
Well, do what you got to do. I wasn't doing jack shit. I got like pegged in my little corner, and then like people kept coming up and introducing themselves to me, so I just kind of stood there. Worked out better for me that way. I don't even remember when Felix left.
I said goodbye to you guys as I was leaving.
said
I said goodbye to you and Paul.
Bye.
Bye. I don't remember. There was so many people coming up and talking, and then I got stuck over there talking with Froton forever. Like that was he left, came back again, and so we were just having like a very long conversation about college football and soccer and everything.
I'm going to text you guys the name, but one thing that I was surprised by is that there is one Twitter personality who's a very big personality, but then, and I know because I feel like when I'm in a crowd, I just don't want to talk. Like I just don't want to talk to people. And so this personality is like a very big Twitter personality, but he seemed 100% uncomfortable with people coming to talk to him. Like he was there, but he didn't seem like he wanted to be. And I recognized it because I've seen that in myself when I have to go to work conferences where like this is work. Like I'm trying to be comfortable here and it's work. And that's what it seemed like. Like it didn't see him smile, and you see him smile all the time in his Twitter stuff. And I was just like, that I can, because like that conference was fun because it was about football. But when I have to go to Chicago every year for my job to go to this litigation practice group meeting.
That sounds awesome.
And well, I mean, it's a bunch of seminars, and then at night, like they go out and go to bars and stuff. And quite frankly, to me, it doesn't matter if I'm going out to bars with work people. That's still work to me. And so that just means I'm working until 11:30 at night. And I don't drink when I go out to that stuff. So it's just like, and it can feel like I'm trying to be there. Anyway, there was just one guy. That's what it seemed like.
Well, we know it wasn't Evans, we know it wasn't Brad Evans.
I don't even know what Brad Evans looks like.
I didn't even know he was there.
I love how drunk he was.
I don't even know what Brad Evans looks like.
Did you get a chance to actually talk to him? I didn't even know he was there.
No, because he was obviously trashed. There was no value to be had in that even just to say hi. There was nothing.
Yeah, I didn't even know. Well, I didn't know. I guess a bunch of people were down to the left of where we were standing, down like by that, I guess in the corner of where that bar was, because I've seen a bunch of pictures of like a bunch of people I didn't even realize were there Saturday night.
Yeah. Austin said oh, man.
I'm slow on the uptake. Don't mind me.
I have too.
I don't want. It seemed like that at the expo though too. He was doing like a lot of walking around, not really talking to people.
Right. Different personality than what's on Twitter. So,
well, talking to people in person is tiring. Oh well, yeah, I'm exactly like this in real life, people. Yeah.
It is tiring, but to me, it's just like if it's work, but not talking about football is not tiring to me. And I get a lot of energy from it. This is the one thing that I can talk about if it's a conference, like let's just be at a conference because I don't have a problem talking to people about this stuff.
And yet you run out in the middle of the street at 2 a.m. smoking a cigar with us, Felix. I mean, that's low energy right there.
You left at like 9, I think, 9:30. It was early because Dwight made us leave at like 12 because I gave him a whole bunch of shit. Everybody was like, "Oh, where are you leaving?" It's like, he's making me leave. I don't want to leave. He's making me leave because I had no way to get back to the house.
Leaving. I am the first one out of
you were going pretty early. I will say I don't want this to sound like I'm full of myself, but like it was a little uncomfortable for me Saturday night because there's a lot of people who were coming up and introducing themselves to me. I had no idea who they were, and it made me feel bad.
I know
because they were like, "Hey, Matt," and I was like, "Hey, bud, what's up?" And then like had to pretend like I was a little bit drunk, so like I didn't get the name out. I wasn't drinking like at all. I think I had one drink. I told
Rhinos, who's with the Undroppables. His avatar is and I put my hands on his face. I said, "Tell me who you are."
Oh, I know. He came up and told me about your guys' interaction at the table when me and Paula were sitting there. Because he came up and introduced himself, and I saw the name tag. I was like, "Oh, hey!" Yeah. I heard Felix didn't know who you were. I was like, "Yeah, he came." I was like, "Yeah, he told us." But no, it's more of like people who they even have their faces on Twitter. I don't know. I didn't know who some of these people were, and it made me uncomfortable because I was like, now I just feel like a dick because you came up and you knew exactly who I was, and I don't know. And then I don't know what to say. So I was like, one guy came up, was like, "Well, how was your flight in? And when are you going back?"
You got to say it immediately. You just got to say, "Forgive me. Just tell me who you are." And
I'm too nice. I want to pretend like I know who you are and make you feel.
I don't try to front it at all. I don't try to front it at all. So. All right, Austin's going to be like, "Guys, I got to go here in like 45 seconds because he's been quiet." So
no, I'm good. I mean, I got all my work done. I'm crushing.
Austin's always the one who's just like, "All right, guys, this is enough. This is enough of your."
I try to be cognizant of the fact that Matt has to go to bed. I'm just a good co-host.
Yes, and you know how I love to have the podcast uploaded like immediately after because I want to get the downloads from people during their commutes in the morning that want to listen to us.
Yes, Jay, of the three of us,
I am by far the shortest of the three of us.
Are you the shortest on the site?
No, me and Colin were. So here's the problem.
Moxley's not that tall.
Yeah, Moxley's short too.
Yeah,
Brandon Hayes, sneaky tall.
Yeah. So when me and Colin met, I am almost. We stood right. We were like the same height. The problem is, I had to go to the doctor the other day, And the height that I was told at the doctor was not how tall I thought I was, which also that means Colin is lying about how tall he is. There ain't no way he's 5'10" if I'm not 5'10". I'll just leave it at that. But me and Colin are like practically the same height, but we are much shorter than everybody else. And I mean everybody else. Even Dwight's taller than he looks.
You're the biggest personality.
I have to be
yelling at everybody because nobody
short,
was at the
diminutive,
booth.
wide.
I'm the only one. You were mad at us for 25 different things during the expo.
I was mad at getting left at the table. That shit sucked. Mostly because
you
I felt like
just
shit.
Left.
Dude.
Like who cares?
Because a bunch of people kept coming over to the table.
You're fine.
I mean, we did all bail on table to go, like, not even get to eat for 2 hours.
We should start a Campus to Kin OnlyFans. Like, we should, I don't know what would be on.
I'm not too proud.
We should start a Campus to Kin OnlyFans.
I mean, they're cutting the porn stuff off there, aren't they?
Which is exactly why we should.
They're bringing it back. They're bringing it back.
They're bringing it back now?
Yeah. They say that the statement or whatever said that they were worried that they couldn't, like, the banks were, like, declining, like, charges and stuff with them, and they wouldn't be able to secure, like, funding, but that they after discussing their options with some places, they're good to go.
Listen,
no one was going to keep the money going in there, like, stop the money going in there.
I've heard about, like, married couples' wives earning $150,000 a month.
One of my wife's friends makes what'd she say? 60-something thousand the past couple months just by posting feet pics of like hers putting her feet in like peanut butter or mud and stuff like that. And I'm like, fuck is wrong with people?
Why?
Well,
every woman should be doing that then. That is just
I know. I tell my wife all the time, I'm like, I don't care. Just do it. Just do it. I want to be able to quit. Your money right there funds me being able to stay at home and just work on the website.
Because when they banned that stuff, there was a whole bunch of articles on like Yahoo and stuff. And there was one couple, it was a couple, they were saying, like, we don't even know what to do with all the money. We just don't, it's just in the bank. We don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous how much money they can make off that. Men are disgusting.
I've thought about just shaving the top of my feet and just, putting them out there. No one's gonna know.
They'll know, dude. You've got like size fucking 15s or whatever.
You don't have manicured toenails.
By the way,
my toes look like lit actually. Matches.
Next year at
put it in the intro tape.
We're racing next year, by the way. So just so you guys know, you can bring
bring
your non-bougie shoes. I wanted to race. I wanted to prove myself. You guys all shut me down.
Matt Bruning, I'm sorry. I would have dusted.
We'll see.
You.
Again, I don't see where it's a lose for you.
And I'm not saying because we're the same age. You're a former athlete just like I am. But I have been sprinting here recently, like as a part of getting back in shape, like putting the treadmill all the way up, doing that stuff. So I feel like I'm in good sprinting shape if I need to race somebody.
Why do I feel like Felix is the guy that would pull his hammy like 3 steps?
I feel like that too. Yeah, I know.
Oh, bro.
Look, I'm practically like a shorter, fatter version of Cristiano Ronaldo. I can just go out there and make it happen. All right, I don't have to worry about it. Felix has no idea who that is. Austin.
Cristiano Ronaldo is a soccer player, right?
Yes, he's like one of the best soccer players in the world. Have Dwight referee. That would be pretty funny, Jay.
He'd be game.
Dwight came through, man, for the expo. He came through. All right. I need to get off because
as Matt, did you see my last pick in that draft, by the way?
No, I haven't pulled it up since I didn't even know you guys how far you guys went after I picked.
It's the only spot I have him in. Just a total hedge. If I'm wrong,
I felt like I should. Damn it, dude! I knew I should have gone quarterback. I was hoping Daniels would fall one more round.
Oh, I accidentally picked Jackson Meeks in a league. Is that? I feel like that's a pick that's not.
He's a stud.
Later, Jay.
Jackson Meeks in the round 44.
What else were you going to spend your round 44 pick on?
No, for real. What's your take on Jackson Meeks?
Wow. This guy doesn't even listen to the C2C pod. Apparently, he says he does, but
I do. But I don't.
He
You
falls
guys talk
asleep
about
listening to it.
thousands of players.
Meeks is I liked his high school stuff more than Adonai Mitchell, but he missed his junior year with a knee injury, so he missed the whole camp circuit. He missed everything, so he was a low 3-star.
I was listening because you said that Tayon Fleet Davis was starting at Maryland, and I'm going to draft him.
Do it.
Wait a minute. There are all these players who have been taken in Shaq's league that are in the player pool. That drives me crazy.
I hate to say this. I just gave up.
I don't even know. I'm not going to go look and see if somebody's taking Tayon Fleet Davis.
There's definitely no placeholder for Tayon Fleet Davis. He's been in the system the entire time. That's the thing. I play in so many leagues.
But Travion Henderson is right there. And
just because he just got added. It's because he just got added. They changed it. It was Trey Henderson.
Fantrax is adding players to the player